The Associated Press went and reported that we said the Holocaust was exaggerated, which was a blatant lie. Our statements was, you can hear it on our site, and you can read it. And we spoke at the opening of the session, right after the foreign minister. At the closing of the session, when the president was there, we kept on reiterating that it's clear that millions of Jews were killed. My grandparents were killed in Auschwitz. The rabbi sitting over there was in a bunker in Hungary, sitting past BBC. Was in a bunker. His mother was killed in Hungary, in Budapest. We all lived the Holocaust. And I went there and I said, I'm a representative of the people who died in the Holocaust. And they died because they were Jewish, because they upheld God's teaching. To them, metaphorically speaking, to dig them up, to rebel against God, to oppress other people, that's a second tragedy, a second Holocaust. So to use them to do against God's will. He said, therefore we're here to let the world know that doing to the Palestinians, oppressing them, expelling them, all in the name of God, it's false, it's illegitimate, it's a scandal, it's criminal, it's against the teachings of the Torah. And BBC reported it properly, Reuters, all the Arab papers, I have the quotes, I have everything here. And Associated Press mysteriously reported it was all over the Zionist papers. All of a sudden the Zionist papers didn't read anything in BBC, in Reuters, and all the newspapers, the world papers, and what the even what the official statement of the Iranian sites they didn't write, which they had written about us. What they wrote was, we said it was exaggerated, a blatant lie. It took me 2 weeks after I came back to New York to fight with them that they should eventually make a retraction. They kept on saying it's a holiday now in Iran. We can't find our reporter in Iran. It was in Persian. He says it was another source. Eventually they made a full retraction, which we have here. In December 15th, a story about an Iranian-sponsored conference on the Holocaust. The Associated Press erroneously attributed a claim that the number of Jews killed in that was exaggerated. Rabbi Dovid Weiss, who attended the conference, denied making such a statement and said the claim does not reflect his position. He opposed the state of Israel. The story should have also cited Iranian news reports, and he writes there are two versions going out. The members under New York City are asked to use the following story. But who used it? Not one Zionist paper. They totally ignored it. Now, if BBC would have written that I said it was exaggerated, or one slight against anything that you could think of our religion, God's will, anything scandalous, they would have read BBC. They would have known about it. But whenever they see anything that's good, for instance, we went with the president for an hour and a half. He gave us this time. He had elections the next day for his sister, and it was three types of elections. He sat with us, and they put out an official statement from the Iranian, from the news, from the official government statement, and it was in the Iranian papers and other papers, and they reported the president, they called him the chief executive, called the need to solve the problems facing the world, including the Palestinian issue, through dialogue and necessity for peace and paying attention to the prophet's instructions. He said the Zionist regime was built on lies. They should hold a free referendum to establish a government based on the will of the Palestinian nation, including Jews, Christians, and Muslims. He further said, while this regime set up a large prison in the occupied territories of Palestine for the Muslim, Jewish, and Christian residents. In other words, he's recognizing that the Jews are not their enemies, the Jews. They're being held under a sort of prison. So that was his position, not to wipe out the Jews falsely attributed to him, because he spoke in person. He said it should disappear because it's evil, not the concept of killing people. And he kept on stressing how he respects Jews. That's what he was telling us. And then he finished.
Well, we didn't hear any of that in the media here.
This should be world news. And the most important statement he said that the vigilant and just human beings will not blame the Jews for the crimes committed by the fake Zionist regime and its supporters in the occupied territories,
never heard that either.
Including genocide of defenseless and oppressed women and children. Don't blame the Jews. He's supposed to be the hero, according to Zionism, of all the enemies of Jewish people. And he's making a statement to the world, even if there's genocide of innocent people, don't blame the Jewish people.
Is that President?
Nobody reported this.
That's President Ahmadinejad.
President Ahmadinejad.
Thank you, Rabbi.